G'day and welcome to Daily Insights and Storytellings with me, Moon Willow. Lovely to have you all on again. And while I think about it, if you haven't already, can you hit that subscribe button for me? And at the end, if you like or dislike it, just hit the thumbs up or thumbs down. It's really weird. I'm feeling really weird energies at the moment, although I'm really enjoying the energies that's coming through with this. Never ceases to surprise me that for all that I am recording this before uploading it, that I get a real sense of community on here, which I really love, and I'm hoping that we continue to grow that community, because in the times that we're living at the moment, I really feel that it's vitally important that we have somewhere that we can join together and try and understand what's going off out there. Been recently watching various things that's saying that there's an increase in light coming through. But if we get sidetracked watching the media, then that can feel odd, because it's presented constantly that we're living in a very dark time, that we're at risk of dying with every breath. And truthfully, that is very real, irrespective of viruses, earthquakes, etc. That from one moment to the next, we're not guaranteed to be able to take our next breath. But within that, we have a choice in how we interact with the world and how we choose to feel from a moment to moment perspective. It certainly helps on a day like today here, with the sun shining. After a night of rain, it's very fresh, it's very clear. And I think that's partly what I'm attempting to do with these storytellings, is to try and shed some light so that we're not feeling as dark and looking at things from a slightly different perspective that may or may not resonate with you, so that we can progress in a way that fits for us, that nobody's telling us how to live, but we're honouring our internal self and how we choose to move forward in the world, how we choose to interact with other people along the way. So so that's some of the thoughts that I've had going off today. I've had numerous. I was also thinking about the voice, the humming, whatever it is I do at the end, the vocalization. And I know when I hashtag it on Instagram, etc., that I put it through as an energy sound. And to me, that's exactly what it feels like it is. I'm not entirely sure. Well, I never know before I do this, sit down and do this, what I'm going to say, how I'm going to say it, what's going to come out crystal-wise, card-wise, or the vocalization. But it just comes from somewhere, and it's almost like a clearing in a way of trying to get rid of negativity and the shadow side. And it's not to get rid of it, but it's, as I've said before, it's about integrating. We always have a light side and a dark side within, just like we have masculine and feminine. And it's not to have that conflict within, but how we work, how we understand, and then integrate that totally within ourselves so that we can not trip ourselves up, not become sidetracked or focus too much on the darkness, but notice that even in the darkness there is light, always light. Even if it's just sitting down and realizing that we're privileged to breathe at the moment, and that we're able to wake up in the morning and notice birds, etc. So on that note, I'm going to start with a crystal for today. So if you could all focus on the crystal bag. I rather love this purple crystal bag. And we'll see what comes out. Ooh, tiny one. And we're back to the heart. So the heart of the matter, the green aventurine. and how we honor our heart and how we express what our heart has to say, in a way, on that one is what's coming out. So I know that I know I've got 2 crystals in the bag for the heart chakra. One is rose quartz and one's green aventurine. And I'm never sure, I know sort of like when I set it up that I had a fairly specific idea as to why I used the 2, but I have noticed that I tend to twist them around from time to time, so which you may or may not notice. But for me, the green aventurine in this particular moment is very much about showing unconditional love externally. But before we can do that, we really need to integrate our heart space and love ourselves unconditionally. Notice what other people or even ourselves consider as flaws or faults, which aren't, their learnings, and how we react and respond from our heart center is very much a part of our stories that we've had from childhood and how we've been treated or the situations we find ourselves in and how we make sense of that. But often, if we have dark feelings or dark thoughts around how we care or look at other people, we're conditioned to think that that's wrong, and that means that we can end up cutting off from that heart space, or we've been hurt so much that we want to hide it behind various walls, etc. But that sort of means that we're missing out on feeling love from other people and loving ourselves. And unless we work out how to integrate and love ourselves completely, and taking responsibility for our part in anything that's happened, then we're doing ourselves a disservice and the universe, because we're here for a specific reason, even if we don't understand it at the time or at this moment. But it's just appreciating that we are here, and that is a really, really good thing, and that we have a lot to give. But to be able to give freely, we need to learn how to fill up our heart space and feel full first before we can give out to other people. Because if we go from a place of depletion, we will end up resenting having to give something away. And it may not be at that moment, it may be a couple of years down the line where we end up resenting the fact that we gave away too much of our hearts. So it's very much for me about sort of really sitting within our heart space, learning how to love every part of ourselves, the darkness as well as the light, the masculine and the feminine, so that when we do meet people, we can be authentic, that the unconditional love we feel for ourselves can flow freely for other people. So that to me is green aventurine today. May be different tomorrow if we end up pulling that out again, but we'll see. Like I said at the start, I really have no idea what I'm going to say when I do one of these. So we'll move to the cards. So if you could concentrate on the cards as we shuffle, if there's anything collectively that we need to know about today, especially in relationship to our heart, and we'll see what comes out. So again, splitting, which I really love doing. Really love splitting the cards. Okay, so we have today, so we've got the owl, the sun, and a garden. So we'll start with the owl. So in a lot of mythologies around the world, the owl is about knowledge and wisdom. But for me, in this particular set of cards, it is more about the whispering behind people's backs. So this links in very much with the green aventurine and acknowledging the parts of ourselves that we're trying to hide. because the more we bring that to the light, and I'll bring the sun in already, the more we bring up that thought, the underlying thoughts, or that negative aspects, the more we bring it up, the more we can actually see where it comes from. And a lot of times people will end up saying something to us that just manages to creep through all our defenses and sticks in, and we'll end up sort of thinking about it constantly. Well, why did they say that? There must be something wrong with me. And also a lot of it is from also sort of childhood or numerous years beforehand, and somehow we've absorbed it within our heart space, and then we'll sort of be looking in the mirror type of thing, and we'll have a random thought come through along the lines that it might be that you're ugly, or that your eyes are the wrong shape, or your mouth isn't right, or anything along those lines. So it's being conscious of that thought process, because we have our lives so crammed sometimes that we don't notice these random thoughts, and it's those thoughts that tend to make us feel more depressed, anxious, and that can actually take us into a dark space. So bringing them up, or noticing when those thoughts come up, or we're putting ourselves in a situation where people are saying unkind things around us. But equally, sometimes it's good things as well, that we're conditioned internally to not hear the really lovely things, that we only notice the bit that is critical. There's been, I know from numerous years ago, there was, when I was doing psychotherapy training, we were talking about this, and that someone could end up giving you, could do a 5-minute talk about you, and 99% of that was really lovely and very powerful and very uplifting. But they may say one thing that was negative, and it's that one negative thing that we tend to cling on to because we're conditioned to listen out for it. So it's about sitting more in our heart space, being aware of this, so that we can actually hear everything as a balance, and actually notice that most people are saying more really lovely things about us, and noticing our reaction to that one negative or two negative things, and trying to understand, taking time to understand where that may come from, to give us more information so that we can work on it. We have the ability to actually go within and work through these things, and work out how to integrate it back in, so that we can actually, again, going back to the green aventurine, learning how to unconditionally love ourselves. And I love the fact that we have got the sun next to it. So it is about shining the light into our heart space, and actually truly seeing and understanding that we are wonderful individuals. We are doing our best in very weird circumstances, and we always have. And it's learning not to hit ourselves over the head with the bad things, but actually acknowledging that, but equally really seeing the loveliness that is ourselves at the same time. So the bird, although that is negative and can be actually quite hurtful, that actually if we bring in the sun and actually start looking at it more fully and completely without a bias, that we're just witnessing these things that are going off inside, we start to get more of a balance within, so that we can get to that learning to love ourselves unconditionally. Equally, and I'm taking this off a little bit further, because we've got the garden is about community and the different communities or social situations we find ourselves in. So it's also noticing on this level the different, if we're in a situation, if we're in community, we're in family, and we end up having or listening to or hearing negative thoughts or negative words spoken to us, we have a choice then. If we actually look at it without just reacting, but actually witnessing what's happening around us, we can then see and then choose the environments that we put ourselves into. Now, sometimes, and it's like going into a work situation where we may not like the people we're working with, and they can be, it's a bit like school ground bullying type thing. Even the government's doing that at the moment. It is very much quite abusive situations. If we're looking at sort of like that work situation and that's really uncomfortable, then we need to sit and put a light on it and work out what's right for our souls. Now, it might be that it may be one or two people, and you can put your shields up and just switch off from those comments, realizing that they're speaking from their own pain and their own turmoil, and not actually necessarily understanding the damage that's causing us. But we can choose how we react to it, and we can choose how we respond to it and take a step back. But if it's like we're going in for a shift for 6 or 12 hours and we're with someone we know that can be uncomfortable, we can sort of speak our truth and say, look, I don't appreciate you speaking like that to me, but I would like to continue working in this environment. Can we just agree to disagree and just walk separately and remain professional? So without getting into the underlying sense of it, but putting up our boundaries, really filling our hearts with a lot of unconditional love that other people are just doing the best that they can given the situation and the circumstances, and we can choose to walk the other way even within a work environment. But equally, sort of if it's family, if it's a family situation or friends, then it's a case of looking at that as well and seeing what we gain from it. How does that make us feel? If it keeps making us feel really bad and anxious, it may actually be time to take a step away from that and look for a different community, a different group of people that appreciate us for us, that we can give and receive that unconditional love. And it's hard to say goodbye. It's hard to move away from groups of people that we've known for a long time. But sometimes that can actually continually send us into a dark space and can be quite hurtful to us. Again, it may be a case like within the work environment that we can actually speak our truth openly, honestly, and with authenticity, speaking from our heart space. And that may mean that we can actually move and shift the dynamic of that particular relationship or set of people. Or it may be that we just end up saying, okay, I'm really sorry, but this is not nurturing me in this world, and I need to nurture myself, and I need to take some time away from that particular community or group. And I feel that by doing that and honouring ourselves, honouring our heart space, looking after ourselves, loving ourselves, that other groups of people with similar ways of being, similar belief systems will start to enter our lives as we let go of the ones that are hurtful and are quite negative. So I'm hoping that makes some sense to people out there. That was quite for not knowing what I was going to say, that a lot came out, I feel. But it's very much, again, it's taking time and space and just sitting with ourselves and truly honouring ourselves as well, and honouring our heart space, realising what hurts us so that we don't put ourselves back in that situation. Or if we feel like we have no choice and we're going into a situation that is uncomfortable, that we have a way of handling that, that we can take some deep breaths, that we can clear our energy field, connect in with Gaia's energy, and put our shields up as well so that we are not as impacted. But if we take that moment, if someone says something to us, and take sort of a couple of really deep breaths and really allow ourselves to feel how we want to react to that, that will give us the chance to actually choose at what level we will respond or not. It may be that it's like, okay, I'm hearing you, but I don't want to get into this. I need to walk away. And then however they respond and react is completely up to them. You can continue to walk away and not worry, because at the end of the day, the only person we live with is ourselves all the time. Other people, including blood relations, come and go throughout our lives for various reasons, but the person, the soul that we walk with all the way through is ourselves. And we need to, I feel, for me, I need to learn how to fully appreciate my soul and my journey. And by that, to do that fully, I need to take the time to breathe, to work out what nurtures my soul, what is helping me to open up the doors, who is empowering me to be the best that I can be. And just learning how to love myself unconditionally. And I just feel that that's very much about the energies for today, is just taking that time and the space just to sit with our heart center and just learn how we can be comfortable in our own skin, because at the end of the day, no one else can do that for us. So, okay. So I will see what sound comes through for our heart space today. Well, I don't know about you, but that really resonated in my heart space. So I will be back tomorrow, all things being well, and I'm really looking forward to doing it and continuing to explore our energies and what's going off for all of us from a crystal card and vocalization perspective, and various ramblings from me as well. If you haven't done so already, please hit that subscribe button. If through any of these something resonates a bit more for you and you would like me to do you an individual storytelling, please contact me through either my website, which I'll put at the bottom of the link, Instagram or Facebook, and we can organise some time and space where I can look in a little bit more deeply for you as to what's happening and maybe the reasons why you feel like you're going around in circles at times. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me, and I'm looking forward to tomorrow. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy the rest of your day. Love you all. Bye.